Even though we hear it, even though maybe we share that information, but until you see it yourself, how dangerous it is and how vulnerable kids make themselves on their social media accounts, they basically make it as easy as it can possibly be for a predator to lure them in and to groom them, because they give them all the information they need about themselves, all their desires, all their wants, and they put it all out there on social media.
Traffickers prey on people who are vulnerable, and they're remarkably good at hooking people quickly. And they oftentimes the victim is led to believe that this is their boyfriend, or at the very least a friend, and before long they find out that they've been trapped.
The internet is huge. We've run operations where pimps have actually contacted us, not knowing obviously it's us, but contacting the girls and saying, hey, come and work for me, kind of thing. When we ran an operation earlier this year, we arrested a pimp's girl, and he immediately started hitting everybody up, including 2 of our undercover officers and who are online, and said, hey, one of my girls got arrested. Can you help me out? Can you be with me? I'll give you, out of $200, I'll give you 150 of it, kind of thing. I need to make some money. So they not only contact other girls that are working for somebody or working independently, but the social media is huge. Like I said, with the 14 to the 18-year-old range, how many girls and guys are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. And it's super scary, these apps that are coming out nowadays, where they have unlimited access to all your pictures and everything that you do. Snapchat now even has an app, or part of the app, where, you can look at a map and see, okay, well, who's on Snapchat within a mile range of me? So, okay, they'll just hit them up, and if it's a girl at the mall, or if it's a girl that just fought with her parents, if a girl that's a runaway and they need a house to stay in, that's an easy target for those guys.
We don't realize how serious the social media is in regards to the grooming process of these predators.
They're schmoozers, that's probably the majority of them on the onset. Because obviously if you meet somebody first and you beat them up and throw them in your car, well, that doesn't do you any good. You want to gain their trust. You want to get them to like you. Maybe, hey, now we're boyfriend, girlfriend. And the next thing you know, it turns the corner to, hey, remember those gifts I bought you? Remember that food I bought you? Now you're staying at my house. Okay, well, you're going to have to do some work for it, and you're going to have to sleep with somebody, or 2, 3, 4 guys. And then the ball keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's all done, or almost all done, through the internet now, through social media type pages, and it's very mobile. The traffickers know to keep their victims moving from one place to another. Don't ever develop connections. Don't let them start to trust anyone or develop a relationship with anyone, because that's all dangerous to the trafficker's operation.
One of the vulnerabilities that pimps and traffickers look for is what does this child believe they are worth? And if they believe that they're worth nothing, that's a huge vulnerability.
There's a runaway and a throwaway. So a runaway is basically a young girl or male, a guy who went away from his house, whether it be he got in a fight with his mom or dad or step parents or whatever the case may be, foster parents, and he or she just ran away for a little while, and the next thing you know, they got caught up in it. A throwaway is they've just been thrown out of the house. Parents aren't looking for them. They don't care. They haven't called the police, haven't notified anybody that they're a runaway. They just, if they show up, they show up. So we see a lot of the girls getting, and the guys too, we've had a couple here in Brown County, but we see a lot of them starting at that age. The youngest victim that we've had in the state of Wisconsin, I think, has been 12 years old. So it's but they're vulnerable. They don't know, they don't have the skills to take care of themselves out on the street at 12 to 14, and that's where these guys swoop in and just pick them up, is because they're down on their luck, they need something, and this guy is going to provide that something, and next thing you know, you're tied in with this group.
Sometimes the trafficked person is addicted to drugs and struggling with that, and this person becomes a source. Sometimes the drugs are introduced after the trafficker ensnares them but we find that's often a tight connection. That's been one of the things we've been doing at the Department of Justice, is trying to make the connection between the narcotics investigations and human trafficking, and hoping that we're going to be able to make our way into some of the victims through that route.
Drugs are everywhere, and drugs are hand in hand with what goes on with sex trafficking. And we can't just focus on one, we have to focus on both of them if we're going to affect any change.
If you're dealing drugs, you're dealing girls, and vice versa. The thing with dealing girls, or pimping them out per se, is I can sell a bag of heroin one time to that person. I can sell this girl 10 times a night. So where are you going to make your money? You're going to make your money on the girls. Now, if they're dope dependent, and you're a strong arm guy, and you're the type of gorilla pimp that basically beats your girls, they're going to stay there because they're fearful of you. They're fearful that they're going to get killed, or their family's going to get hurt, so they're going to have to stay in that house. So you can sell that girl 8, 10, 12 times a night for 100, 200 bucks, and you're going to make way more money than what you would have just made on this little baggie of dope. So they're definitely intertwined. Here in Brown County, we have a multi-jurisdictional drug task force. I'm in contact with them daily, if not multiple times a day, and we're exchanging names, we're exchanging info all the time.
Human trafficking wouldn't exist if there weren't someone willing to pay for it. And we're finding out from so many victims, and often we don't make contact with these survivors until they're adults. But so often when they tell us about the history of how this started for them, they started as young as 12 and 13. Someone was paying to have sex with them when they were 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. That's inexcusable. And we're going to continue to go after those characters. You're creating the demand for this, and it would dry up if people stopped paying for it.
In 2015, the average age for a girl to be pulled into this or caught up in this life was 12 to 14. 12 to 14. That was in 2015. The updated version in 2017 is 9 to 14. So I mean, even those charts, everything, including the demand, is showing that it is getting younger. So we reach out to men to understand this. This isn't about guilt. It's not about shame. It's about saying, holy cow, I didn't know this. I'm going to change. If you're visiting strip clubs, you need to understand that there's a reason that those are not a healthy environment. So stop supporting that, because there are girls being trafficked through strip clubs.
So John is essentially a buyer of sex trafficking victims. Now, our average John would be a middle-aged white male, college-educated, married with children. There's obviously the gamut of Johns. We've seen Johns as young as 18, 19, almost basically engaged to get married, or just starting their lives in college, all the way up to the 65-year-old that has never been married, doesn't have any kids. So really it can run the gamut. However, our middle of the road median would be a college-educated white male, right around the age of 35 to 45 years of age.
One of the things that the founder of Polaris talked about was a study that's going to come out later on this summer, maybe early fall, in looking at the sex buying habits of men. And the number he used, and it's not the final number, but it's in the ballpark, that 35% of men, there's nothing that would get in their way of going to purchase sex. And this is actually paying for sexual favors from a human being. This is not even a man purchasing porn online. In the 65%, I don't remember the exact numbers, but some of the men, they entertain the idea, but they're fearful of getting caught. So there's a significant percentage of men, and I'm going to say it's probably a conservative number, that they toy with this idea a lot.
The way that we're doing it now is the Johns aren't getting a ticket. They're actually getting taken to jail for a short period of time. Their cell phone is being confiscated, and then they actually have to appear in front of a judge. So, I mean, if you're married with kids, and you get caught up in one of our operations and your face is on the Facebook or whatever, you don't really want that to happen again. So we're not seeing a whole lot of repeaters since the beginning of the year since we've started this, because I think they're probably starting to pick up on that, okay, well, once was on the news was enough for me. I don't want to get my family embarrassed again. So
Demand is getting bigger for younger aged girls, victims, boys. So that demand is being filled. So the strip clubs, it's all part of the product. The movies, the girls are getting younger. The strip clubs, their demand is for younger dancers. Viewing it online, any of that.
It's kind of like that saying, like, once you know about it, you can't ignore it kind of thing. And so I think awareness is just so important. And if we could just get everyone just to have that little piece in their ear, like, this is happening, and even for them to say it to their friend and to say it to their friend, just raise that awareness, because as awareness is being raised, demand is going to be, that supply and demand chain is going to be broken, which I think is so important, because if there was no demand, there'd be no supply.